Hello there, and welcome to this week's episode of the Super Split Screen Brothers, hosted on the Phoenix Press, where what are bad is canon, and the topics are... wait, that's a Friday Night Frenzy intro. No, this is the Super Split Screen Brothers. I'm Nick. Joining me, as always, is the Luigi to my Mario, Jared. How you doing, buddy?
I was about to remove you from the stream. That's the best part about this hosting on my StreamYard, because then I can remove people.
I hate you.
That's the best part.
Let's start this off like we always do. So, Jared, what you been playing, playa?
Mostly, like, I've been continuing checking out Arkham, some Lego games. I unlocked General Zod, so I'm like, yeah. And
Will you find him?
I did find him. Literally, I did, because in supervillains, in Lego supervillains, you have to actually find the characters. And in terms of comics, I'm about halfway done reading New Frontier, which is fantastic. Probably one of the best comic books I've ever read. Yep, there you go. Nick knows what's up.
So we're literally reading the same comic book right now.
Who knows? That may be a podcast topic when we're both done.
Maybe we'll have the one of the editors of the book on the show.
And I swear, the movie is legit, like, 1-for-1. There are some parts they took out of the book, but the parts they kept in, 100%, like, word for word, practically.
Yeah.
It's astounding.
It's really good. It's really good so far.
But, so I got that. I finished reading Under the Red Hood, which I love so much. Jason Todd's a badass. Well, you just... that's another movie that's like 1-to-1, probably because they had the same guy write the comic and the movie. So there you go.
That always helps.
That's most likely why. And just been, in terms of movies, I'm currently rewatching Batman and Robin. So I'm about to chill.
Why?
Because I'm rewatching all the old Batman movies.
Oh, do you have the freeze drop on here?
I should. Let me see here. If not, you have to send that to me, but I think I have one. No, I don't. You have to send that to me. But
all right, okay, cool.
And I've also been rewatching a lot of fan films. Like I rewatched Nightwing by Yzma last night. That was
so
awesome.
Good.
That is astoundingly good. Like, wow. Even the guy they have as Batman, I buy him playing Batman.
Have you seen Batman: A Lonely Place of Dying?
Is that the one by the Bat and the Sun?
I believe so. It's
yeah.
It's so good.
Yes, I have. Yeah, there are some fan films that I forget they're fan films, and I'm like, oh.
Have you watched Superpowered Beatdown?
I have. They did like Wonder Woman Wolverine, which I totally called. For the
probably
most part,
my favorite.
Yeah,
my favorite of theirs is their Joker and Harley Quinn versus Deadpool and Domino. Also, their collabs, when they're like Power Rangers versus fights where they actually brought in Jason David Frank. Like they had Power Rangers, Scorpion, and then Green Ranger versus Ryu, and actually had Jason David Frank there. That was so cool.
Speaking of Power Rangers, at SuperCon, I believe Austin St. John is going to be at SuperCon, so I'll be sure to stop by and say hi. So anyway,
before I do that, I have to shout out some Power Ranger fan films.
Yeah,
that you should check out. Zordon of Eltar is really good. Power Rangers, Power Rangers Unworthy.
I saw Unworthy. They even have their own theme song.
Have you seen the whole series? There's actually
the ones that are out. Yes, I have.
And then there is Teenagers with Attitude. Zordon of Eltar is technically a prequel to Teenagers with Attitude. But yeah, those are the ones that I recommend.
Yeah, and so I've been checking out that, and again, a lot of these films are like, I'm like, are you sure this is a fan film? Because this looks really good. But even the costumes, that they look like their actual stuff.
Yeah, have you seen the Shattered Grid live action trailer?
I have, of course I have.
Yes, that is as legit as you can get. It has James Frank in it. It was actually scored by Ron Wasserman.
Oh, interesting there. For those of you that want more information on Ron Rossman, go to the Phoenix Press or like continue in the Phoenix Press because you're already there. But yeah, so I've been doing that. And in terms of what else? Oh, yeah, in terms of playing me, Jahid, Taladia have been playing DC Online and like getting into role playing with our characters. It's really funny.
Like I'm sorry. So Screecher starts is set in 2019, and so like I'm role playing like Screecher was from like her universe got transferred to DCU. That's her backstory, and that like from her perspective it was 2019 versus Atlas is like what modern day.
So she asked Atlas, so what's 2020 like? Did anything interesting happen? And Atlas is like, nope, nothing happened. It was a totally
nothing happened. Year. Nothing of note happened in 2020.
It was so good. And she's like, I wish they would release the Snyder cut. And Atlas is like, actually.
That moment was comedy gold, I will tell you.
And then what's kind of funny is that whenever we find each other in the game, he's like, Atlas. And I'm like, Screecher. It's become my thing.
That's the new hello there, General Kenobi.
Yes, exactly. But so yeah, that's what I've been doing. How about you?
I've been playing some Resident Evil. Recently did a stream for it. That the stream actually went pretty well. There were some kind of technical difficulties at the beginning, but once we got everything going, it worked pretty well actually.
It did.
So yeah, I think I'll be doing episode 2 this Saturday around the same time. So that should be pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And yeah. Other than that, just random bits here and there. But yeah.
Speaking of that Resident Evil stream, I have now become Nick's guy in the chair.
You are the best.
Yes, thank you. I am the expert at looking for game guides.
Yes. So here's the thing. We're recording this on Memorial Day. It's going to be aired Wednesday, but seeing as how it's Memorial Day, Jared wanted to talk about, in honor of our veterans, we want to talk about comic book characters that have served. Now, admittedly, I am not the most familiar about this specific topic, so I am going to cede the leadership role to Jared. Please take this mantle and honor it. Okay, Jared, this is now, you're the one taking point now. All right, go ahead.
Well, remember, every superhero at DC has served at one point because remember, Golden Age, they were helping us in World War II.
That is true.
Yeah, and for that idea, they were like on the propaganda arm. They were flying over and dropping guns for like the Allied forces. There was this cover of Wonder Woman using the heads of Hitler, Hirohito, and Stalin as bowling pins. So there's like a long history of service. But in terms of like characters that have actually served in the military, obviously we got the granddaddy of them all, Steve Rogers, Captain America, even Sam Wilson and Bucky.
Yeah, speaking of New Frontier, I actually really like the lore reason why the heroes didn't get involved in World War II. Is because Hitler had the Spear of Destiny, and that's why humans could only be the one to take him down. I actually really like that.
They still helped, but they weren't as active. And I also love when he walks in on Wonder Woman, and she's like, "Come on in, Cal, the party's just getting started."
Yeah, it's really good.
By the way, in the movie, Xena the Warrior Princess plays Wonder Woman, and she does actually a fantastic job.
As nature intended.
As nature intended, yeah, because Xena is pretty much a rep off of Wonder Woman when you think about it.
I mean, have you seen Xena's bustier? It's basically just Wonder Woman's.
And Red Sonja is a less dressed Wonder Woman, and that says a lot. But
Red Sonja came before all of them. Red Sonja, you say, could be an inspiration for Wonder Woman. Could argue. You could argue it. But even with you have like Steve Trevor. Yes, technically Steve Trevor, but Steve Rogers. There's too many Steves in comic books. Where you have like, and what's kind of interesting is that he uses his experience in the war to like inspire to like inform his
decisions like throughout his career. Because if you see like even in Avengers Age of Ultron, this is the one time I will mention the Joss Whedon project, where he goes, anytime someone tries to win a war before it happens, people die every time.
Yeah. Which I also got to mention other like probably my favorite moment from the Avengers, the first one, is the opera scene. There's like a couple moments of it. Like,
oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I'll mention the Steve Rogers part for a second, but I want to go on a tangent.
Yeah,
because like my favorite moment in all of the Avengers is when Loki is like getting like he's in Germany, okay, just to set the stage, and he's like kneel, and there's like an old guy. He's like, I will not kneel to you. They're like, you know, they're he's like, there is no one like me, and he's like, there are always people like you. It's like, it is like, honestly, that is a really powerful moment. Like, you got to give Joss credit for writing.
And then there's Steve, who comes out of nowhere like a badass, and he goes, you know, the last time I was in Germany and saw a guy standing above everyone else, we ended up disagreeing. And I'm like, that is such a great line. Yeah,
but you got to admit, like, that old man standing, because you got to realize he probably remembers World War II.
Yeah.
And, you know, if he's like, you know, he looks old, so like
he looks old. You look that old.
And we're walking awkwardness, you know.
Yeah, but
I think that's the implication. I think that's the implication that I got anyway.
Oh yeah, they're definitely channeling that in at least that scene.
And I really liked it. And say what you will about Joss Whedon, but that scene is actually really good.
There were some scenes in those movies that were good. It's just the overall product is overhyped.
I like that he then Tony overrode the loudspeaker to play AC/DC, and he had like.
Here's the problem with that movie. So Tony hacked into had access to all of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s files and couldn't see that they were Hydra.
Yeah, that's just bad writing.
Exactly. I need to get the drop of Deadpool going. Well, that's just bad writing.
Also,
another one who served Deadpool, as a matter of fact. He was in Special Forces. They kind of allude to it in the movie.
Also, I have a plan. Attack. Like, that needs to be a drop.
Yeah, that does.
Also, I gotta give one more shout out to Alive for Avengers. These people are like gods. There's only one god, man, and I'm sure he doesn't dress like that.
I love that. That is awesome. And let's see who else we have. Well, we also have John Stewart and Hal Jordan. John was Marine Corps and Hal was Air Force. And you see, like, Hal was actually kicked out of the Air Force because what happened was, so Hal's father dies in a test pilot crash. That's like the standard origin. And Hal's mom didn't want him to become a pilot anymore because she was afraid the same was going to happen to him. He disobeyed her and joined the Air Force. And the mom said, you can't come back to see me if you're still in the Air Force. So eventually, Hal got kicked out for insubordination, i.e. punching his superior officer. And then he came home, but discovered that his mom had actually passed at that time.
Oh.
Yeah, so it just further informs Hal's character. And then John Stewart, he was in the Marine Corps, and that really informs like a lot of his like leadership decisions, because there's a period where he is the leader of the Green Lanterns and he leads them like a military unit, which makes sense because it's the Green Lantern Corps. It's called a corps. And what's actually kind of cool,
I mean, Marine Corps, Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah, it's kind of cool is like he goes through his own like, because what I have heard is that there are times in the military where you make a choice and like you start to like doubt that I make the right choice, and that's like the occasion where like I mentioned it on like the second episode of Justice League Rewatch, where, and by plug for Comics League, where John Stewart actually by accidentally has a planet like explode because of a decision he made, and that haunts him throughout his entire run as Green Lantern up until Blackest Night. But he goes through this whole decision saying, hey, I made a mistake. It happens. I got to move on. And that just makes him that much more of a fantastic Green Lantern character. Then we have Steve Trevor, which those of you that know me know that.
All right. Jared is about to do some violence, so
I'm not going to do it on account
First
of
Rose is Blast Zone.
I'm not going to do it because of what this episode's supposed to be doing because Memorial Day. But I'm just going to say that in a military context, if he's around other military soldiers, he's good. He's fine. Because guess what? They could do a fantastic book where it's him and all the non-powered military characters on its special ops team doing like operations all over the world because it's a military show, if you will, but in a world where there are superpowers.
All right, I got a challenge for you. I'm going to drop a challenge for you right now. So use if you were to create a squad of non-powered veterans for a military squad for a mission, and this could be across all of comic books, so DC, Marvel, whatever, non-superpowered. Okay, who would you pick? You have 5 people. I'm not going to participate, but I want you to do it.
Steve Trevor leads. Sergeant Rock. Let's see who else. Probably I can't pick Deathstroke because he's superpowered. Do you count Deadshot?
Is he a veteran?
Oh yeah, that's true. No. So no. Nick Fury? Actually, he has kind of superpowers because he has the miracle formula, which kind of makes him immortal, so that counts.
Okay.
I can't pick Super Soldier, so I can't pick Bucky Barnes. Sam Wilson. He's Air Force. He counts. Let me see. Let me look at my shelf to see if can't pick. So again, can't pick Super Soldiers. I can pick Flash Thompson because he needs the symbiote, or as they originally said it in the Venom movie, symbiote. I remember that was a criticism of the movie where they pronounced that word really weirdly. I had to. Let me see here. Probably. So I did 3, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
You're missing a very obvious one.
So yeah, I said Steve Trevor, Rock.
You're missing an extremely obvious non-powered veteran character.
DC or Marvel?
Marvel.
Oh, Frank Castle.
Yes.
I was about to say, I was like, wait a second here. So
I was
Frank,
waiting, come on, that's the obvious one.
Yeah, Frank Castle. Rhodey.
Okay.
He counts, even though he's in a suit, but he doesn't necessarily have to use the suit, or the suit doesn't count as super powered.
So the next 2 I want to talk about, we're going to do these in sequence, if we're going to talk about characters who are veterans, we got to talk about Punisher is a big one, and then also we got to talk about Spawn. But we'll talk about Frank Castle first. Yeah,
because Frank Castle is one of my favorite characters who has served. Now, the thing about Frank Castle is Marvel likes to use him to paint like all veterans as PTSD people that are going to shoot up the place. And that's not what Punisher is actually supposed to be. Because I was watching an interview with a Navy SEAL, and they were talking about, like, for those that don't know and haven't seen American Sniper, SEAL Team 3, what they would do to like tell the enemy we were here is they would spray paint the Punisher skull on buildings. They would have it on all their gear, because the whole thing about the Punisher is that he's going out to like resolve a wrong. In other words, he's going hard on crime because crime took his family. Mm-hmm. And that's why, honestly, the whole Jason Aaron run, they changed his logo. It doesn't work because that paints him as he was always a psycho who even killed people as a kid. And I'm like, that doesn't work with Frank's character, because with Frank's character, he was a normal family man. And it's kind of like with the Joker, the one bad day thing. Except obviously it's way more extreme. And we even talked to Mike Barron about this. And it's like, he's not supposed to be this psycho dude. It just really annoys me when Marvel paints him like that.
Yeah, I don't think Marvel ever really knew what to do with Punisher. It's like they knew he was popular, so they kind of kept churning out stuff. But I don't feel like Marvel itself ever really felt comfortable with the character. It's like, oh, he's popular, so let's just do something because it's popular.
Well, here's the thing, though. When in the Marvel universe, he actually doesn't work because most of those heroes actually have no kill rules, and he's like machine gunning people left and right. So really, it's like he doesn't really work well in the general Marvel universe. If they could take him and like isolate him to his own continuity, then yeah, he works a lot better.
Oh, okay. Here's a story that I want to see: Punisher versus Batman.
Ooh, they did do Punisher Batman crossovers, but it was Azrael Batman.
Imagine Punisher showing up in Gotham.
Honestly, he would be like, he would probably be teaming up with Red Hood.
Well, that's the obvious one, but like, imagine like the whole thing is Punisher is trying to kill the Joker, and Batman has to stop the Punisher from killing the Joker.
So it's under Red Hood.
But like the Punisher, I don't know. It's less personal, but it's just I don't know. I just feel like it's a really good.
It's cool. Don't get me wrong. That's fantastic. I would love to see Bruce fighting the Punisher. We obviously know Bruce is gonna win because he's Batman, and he's fighting a guy that doesn't have powers. I'm sorry. If there's someone that doesn't have powers, I gotta automatically give it to Batman.
I loved like that one time that Joker went to Metropolis and he tried to start shit, but like Superman just shut it down like right away.
Yeah, he was like, "Nope, you're not blowing up my city." And that's the thing. That would be really funny if Superman went to Batman. Let's switch cities real quick and then watch crime in Gotham goes down like immediately.
By the way, that reminds me of like I know this is like we're tangents of tangents, but like I love like you know in Batman the animated series where Superman is dressed as Batman and like he fights Bane. And like Bane thinks he's fighting Batman. All of a sudden, Superman is like starts to use his actual strength, and Bane's like, "Whoa, where did this come from?"
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. And that's that moment. That's actually from the comics because there's a time when a Batman's out of commission, so Superman has to fill in. Oh boy,
that is like the weirdest thing ever to have Superman in the bat suit.
Well, speeding bullets. The Elseworld story. That's pretty much, except that that's Superman crash lands in Gotham instead of Metropolis.
And the Waynes take him in.
Yes, and then he's actually Bruce Wayne. He's not Clark Wayne or anything like that. It's just like he's Bruce Wayne. He has Batman with powers and he kills people. He's pretty much like the Tim Burton Batman. And then at the end of the story, he becomes Superman. Except, like, the problem with that Elseworld story is that then they merge everything else. Like Luthor becomes the Joker, Lois Lane is Vicky Vale, instead of just keeping them as separate or something like that. It's interesting. But anyway, back to this. Another character that I think.
Oh no! There's the other character we got to mention first. I brought this in. Al Simmons.
Oh yeah, Al Simmons, the Spawn.
Yeah, so he's more special ops, but I think he still counts as a veteran.
And he did he did Black Ops, and then he was betrayed by his commander, I think, and then that led to him being killed.
Michael Wynn.
Yeah, the movie showed this actually pretty well, and
a little truncated, but yes.
Yeah, so he was essentially killed by his CO, and then he came back as Spawn. That's the basic plot.
Have you ever seen the HBO animated series?
No, I will as soon as possible because it's on Max, so I can watch it.
Yeah, I've seen the first season. It's just please don't watch it with kids around.
I don't have kids around me, so it's all good. And I have many headphones.
It is a very extremely hard R. Like and in fact, I'd say it's at NC-17 in places.
So another character, I got one, Batwing. At least in the DCAU, they don't mention what he did or like what branch he served in, but they did say he was in the service, so that still counts. That's kind of funny. We're gonna talk about Batman Bad Blood this week on Comics Movie Night. There was a scene that's legit from Iron Man.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen Bad Blood?
It's been a while.
When you watch it, you'll know exactly what scene I'm talking about. That's legit Iron Man.
Probably.
Yeah, but it's just so anyway. He served, and
one character that I really like. Now, I'm only really familiar with his MCU counterpart, but it's Sam Wilson.
Yeah,
I really like Sam Wilson because I feel like he's really good at representing like modern military experience.
And remember, in the MCU, he also led like of PTSD, like group therapy sessions and stuff. Yeah, he was 100. And I think what's kind of interesting about Falcon and Winter Soldier, since I recently redid that, rewatched that at the scene where he decides to become Captain America and he gives like Bucky some like tough love and everything. Guess what? That is him using his past of consoling vets and then using that to be Captain America and give advice. And that was like so good.
While I would have preferred Bucky be Cap, Sam is just as worthy.
Yeah, 100. I mean, the thing is, he is throwing a shield and being able to catch it really well without destroying his shoulder. But this is the MCU, so I'm willing to like excuse that. In terms of character wise, I get why they gave it to Sam, and it makes sense for this character because Bucky still is going through that little crisis of character he had in the comics before he even takes up the shield. So I'm fine with him being with Sam being Cap.
I agree. I think they really gave a really good story reason why Bucky is not Captain America because like he said, he's still kind of going through some stuff. He's still kind of figuring stuff out. Like he's still kind of like in process. I think he's going to be White Wolf before he becomes Cap.
Yeah, I think eventually,
because I really feel like they were setting up the White Wolf storyline in Falcon Winter Soldier. Like you're familiar with the White Wolf storyline, right?
I believe so.
Like he's a character. He's like an outsider, calls Wakanda home and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Like I really like they even call him White Wolf in Endgame. So it's like, and they're kind of setting up that story. I feel like in that show, but that would be really interesting. Mm-hmm. But honestly,
that show was also a really great for like as a military show because we also saw John Walker. That's another vet.
Yeah.
Although here's the interesting thing about that particular character. Remember in Captain America 1, where like he said about how the super soldier serum, good becomes better, bad becomes worse. I think maybe that kind of inspired like what happened to John.
I'm gonna rebuff a little bit. I don't think John Walker was bad. Like I actually think it's a more like it's not like on the surface nuance. Like you actually kind of like got to dig deep.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly believe John Walker was a character who wanted to serve. He wanted to make people proud. Because like there's kind of an earnesty to his character, and I think this is kind of the actor's performance comes in. He wanted to do good. Was he misguided? Yes. Was he flawed? Also yes. And I think the serum just brought out those flaws. It brought out that burning desire, that burning passion. I will serve. I will serve my country no matter what it takes. Kind of mentality.
And I will say my favorite part of that show is when he's before the congressional committee and they're taking away the Captain America role. And the most real moment ever is when he goes, okay, so you tell me to do things and then you criticize how I do my job. Because that happens a lot of times when like Congress is like goes our military and they go take care of this issue. And then they critique their way of doing this issue. I'm like, you told us to resolve this.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's why I love. That's why it has its issues, but Falcon Winter Soldier, I think, is a solid show that the MCU produced.
Yeah. I mean, we can talk about it some other time, but like that's kind of a little bit beyond the scope of this episode. Mm-hmm. Also, there's another. We also got to talk about the flags. Like Rick Flag Sr. and whatnot. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a really important like military dynasty and whatnot.
And he's gonna be, and I believe Senior is gonna be played by John Grillo in Creature Commandos.
Yep. And then another one is
real quick. I think Joel Kinnaman played a great Rick Flag
in the Suicide Squad movies.
Yeah, because I think he communicates that by the book military dude.
This is Katana. She's got my back.
I would suggest not being cut by her sword. It traps the soul of its victims.
You could tell he just did not want to read those lines. He sounds so bored when he's reading those lines.
I'm wondering if that was in the Ayer cut or if that's just Warner Brothers.
I don't know. It just I don't think David Ayer would write that awkward of a scene, at least on set.
No.
Because it just reeks of like forced exposition.
I mean, here's another character, Deathstroke.
Yes, sir.
Because he joined up. I think he actually faked his age to join the military.
Deathstroke is basically evil Captain America.
Yeah, really. In terms of that, we would like Team 7. But here's the thing about Deathstroke. You get why he's evil. It's like he's not evil for evil's sake. He's evil because when you look at his origin, it's like he's betrayed by his own family. His son has been like muted because of his own actions. It's like he's constantly like trying to make amends. It's like that's why I love Deathstroke, because when you see him, he's not actually a bad guy.
Yeah.
Like he's no Darkseid or anything like that, in other words. No matter what DC tries to make you think, he's not Darkseid. I'm looking at you, Christ on Infinite Dark Crisis. But he's actually really, and he's devoted to taking care of his family. So that's really why I'm like, that's one of the reasons why I love Deathstroke so much.
So if we're gonna like start going into some classics, what do you think? What about Sergeant Rock?
Oh yeah, and I love Sergeant Rock. And didn't they do like a showcase short of him in the Creature Commandos, or was that a different character?
Yes, they did. It was yeah, and that
was awesome, by the way.
I also got to give a shout out. They actually did a Sandman short on that one.
That
was really beautiful. It's like, that's the Sandman I wanted, not whatever crap we got on Netflix.
True, but again, Sergeant Rock, he's really awesome. He played a role in actually Death Metal, and he's like that hard and gruff sergeant that there's always one in the military. He's really dope.
Yeah, he was a World War II hero, but I think they since shifted him to Vietnam.
Yeah, so it's more believable that they can use him in books and stuff.
Yeah, I don't be surprised if in the next 5 to 10 years he gets shifted to like Desert Storm.
Yeah, it's like with Punisher, where originally it was Vietnam, then they moved him to Desert Storm as the shifting.
And now he's an Afghanistan veteran.
Yeah, now he's an Afghan veteran. And honestly, that show did a lot to like highlight veteran PTSD issues and stuff. It's actually a really cool show if you're approaching it from that angle.
Yeah, I agree. They got like the therapist character. They got like that. Like, I agree.
And you see Frank, he's going through his own like PTSD journey and stuff. So it's really cool. I like that. By the way, I want John Bernthal to be in the Punisher War Machine armor. I probably won't get that, but I can hope. Maybe in Armor Wars.
I kind of don't want them to do Punisher in the modern MCU.
Yeah, because if they do Punisher in the modern MCU, it's going to be in the stupid ninja gear.
Even if they do bring John Bernthal, like this is why everyone's all hyped for Daredevil, and I'm like, are you really sure you want that? Like,
yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. I guarantee you they're gonna undo everything Jason Aaron did to Punisher. Because at least because they set it up in such a way where they can change out his logo, they can give him back the guns. Because ultimately, here's the other problem with the Punisher that they did. They gave him superpowers.
Yeah, until the pendulum fully swings back the other way, I just think Punisher should rest. Because Punisher is a lightning rod character that there's no way they're gonna do an act. It's why they it's why they made Star-Lord bisexual. That was an FU to Chris Pratt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, yeah, but at that point, those creatives should be fired. If that's why you're doing that, and not to service the character, but as an FU to the actor, you're done.
Well, we shall see.
We shall see. We'll see what happens. Marvel's collapsing at this point, so I'm like, it's not unbelievable that all this stuff could change like that. We'll see what happens, because those Disney dollars are running out. But anyway, besides that, in terms of, and remember, going back to what I said before, it's like, I think the movie with the New Frontier movie and comic book actually did really well, showing the heroes actually helping out in the war too with Vietnam. And then you saw like how that conflicts with their no killing rule, because when Superman walks in on Diana with like the Vietnamese women, she tells him that story. He goes, "Are you crazy? You basically contributed to the killing of these men." And then Wonder Woman's like, "Look around you. We're in the middle of a war zone."
Yeah, honestly, in that situation, I'm kind of siding with Wonder Woman.
I'm siding with Wonder Woman too, because I'm like, are you kidding me? Ignoring the fact that you're in the middle of a war, what they put those women through, I'm sorry. And plus, all Wonder Woman did is leave the rifles in the corner, and she didn't tell them grab a gun.
That part I'm going to rebuff. She knew exactly what would happen. She knew exactly what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter if she didn't directly hand them the gun.
Mm-hmm.
She did something knowing exactly what would happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to give her plausible deniability. She knew exactly what would happen.
Okay. That works. Fair enough. Another thing that this really showed is that, remember, Hal Jordan goes through his own little PTSD journey in that book, because it starts off, he didn't want to kill anyone because he felt like Korea was like, there wasn't really an excuse to kill. I'm like, there's no reason to. And then he had to kill to survive in that scene. And he goes, yeah, in the movie that they showed this really well, where he goes, I discovered in that trench what would make me kill. I would kill to survive.
Yeah, that's a superhero moment right there.
Yeah, when he and that was like, again, it's like, that's his like pacifist like ideals being like challenged and all that stuff. And I think, again,
and I would argue, and this is going to get political here for a moment, put any pacifist in that situation, and I would argue 95% of them would do the same.
Yeah, 100%. Once you're put in that scenario where it's your survival or the other person, there's no way around it.
They will never admit it. Mm-hmm. Like, if you tell them this, like, no, I'd let them kill me.
I talk to them, because talking always works. But ultimately, if you're put in that scenario where it's you or the other person, there's no way out of it, you're gonna act like Hal Jordan did.
I mean, it's fight or flight. You'll either fight, flight, or freeze. You know, that's what would actually happen. You know,
yeah.
Your baser animal instinct would take over, and Hal is still a military person. He still has that training. Basically, his training kicked in. Let's be honest.
Yeah, which is and that's a lot of times what happens. A lot of soldiers, when they're in the middle of firefights, they'll say, "Yeah, all of a sudden it was like I was on autopilot, and the training just takes right over." That's why they go through all that.
Actually, remember once talking to a military friend of mine who had actually been served combat, seen action. And he was actually telling me about this, and he's like he said, like, people who were all big and bad in training, you know, like these big dudes, you know, big muscly dudes. Mm-hmm. Once combat started, they started pissing themselves, you know, and like other people, you know, he's like talking about himself, where it's like combat started and he kind of blacked out, and like when it was over, he's like, he had done his thing, he done what he needed to do. He's like, what just happened, you know? He was telling me about that.
Speaking of that, of comic experiences, there's this Green Lantern story that I really want to talk about here, because that really, it highlights another portion of combat. And this was in the comics in Jeff Johns' run. They had these two alien races that were at war, and a representative of each one became Green Lantern, so they had to work together. And eventually, as they went to combat together, they started to trust each other. And that gets into what I'm talking about. In a combat unit, there's no such thing as racism, because here's what happens: the minute you're depending on that person for survival, you don't care what they look like. You're like, no.
Right. Mm-hmm. There's a quote I gotta look up.
Yeah, there's no atheist in a foxhole, and there's no racism in a gunfight, because again, if you're depending on that person for your very survival, you're not going to care what their skin color is, what their race is. You're not going to care.
All right, I'm gonna quote Full Metal Jacket here. I will be censoring some. So I will be censoring.
Censor it, please, because I know the quote you're talking about, but yeah.
There is no racial bigotry here. I do not look down on N-words, kikes, wops, or greasers. Here, you are equally worthless. And my orders are to weed out all non-hackers who do not pack their gear to serve my beloved Corps.
There you go. There you go.
You're like, please don't say the word. And as soon as I said N-word, you're like, oh, thank God.
There are other words in that quote that that can qualify as stuff you don't want to see on the internet, but that's besides the point.
I mean, honestly, the other three are kind of like outdated anyway.
But still, like, okay. But anyway,
there's only one word. If I say it, it's gonna get me like really canceled.
But so, the quote works. But the quote works. I get what you're saying, and that's the thing. It's like, and I've heard this from other guys who have served, is that, yeah, you don't care what a person's skin color is. If you're depending on that person to cover you, you're not going to care. The racist thoughts you had going into the military go away real fast.
That being said, like, I've heard some military people, like, they turn it into a joke, you know?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you want some chicken? You know.
In other words, the actual hatred part of racism goes away real fast.
No, it's more of like a having fun, like playing with stereotypes kind of thing.
Because that's what the military does. If you've heard military humor, they don't care about anything.
No, it is like the black humor.
It's the humor that you cannot put on YouTube. No,
he said he couldn't hack it. So I hacked his arm off.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's the humor that if a civilian heard it, and by I could take it because for like the longest time I listen to a lot of podcasts by guys that have served, and they hold nothing back. They hold nothing back.
I'm sorry, veterans are some of the funniest people.
They are. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, I've been around a lot of, like, I have a lot of friends who have served and whatnot. So kind of give a special shout out to some of my relatives who have served. Mm-hmm. My late grandfather, Philip Gibson, was an MP in Korea during like the Vietnam era. So, so shout out to him. And also shout out to my late uncle David, who was in the army and was actually in Berlin when the Berlin Wall fell.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
Yeah, he actually took a piece of the Berlin Wall home with him. But that luggage got lost, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Yeah, I should. That's a good idea. Some guys that I really will want to give a shout out to is my uncle, who's retired Special Forces, my other uncle who taught at West Point, and
holy crap,
my good friend Max Priestley, who served in the Marine Corps. He's a really good friend of mine. He's been here since the beginning. He was actually the second interview I ever did on the channel. He's a really down-to-earth dude, nicest guy I've ever met. Mm-hmm. I've had him on the channel numerous times, hoping to have him on again. Wes from Thinking Critical was in the Air Force. I gotta give a shout out to him, because without him, this channel would not be where it is today. And basically, let me see, who else have I had on that has served? Hojo has been on. He served in the Marine Corps, in the I think it was Army. But the point is, he served, so he gets a shout out, at least on my end. And basically, the way I run Comics League is that I give special, like let me put it this way: if you're a veteran too, that's a comic book creator, and want to come on, you get special like privileges. You're automatically on the list, because it's my way of giving back to it. Because let me put it to you this way: we owe a lot to our military, and to tell you the truth, modern America does not acknowledge that nearly enough.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of shout out a couple more people in my life who are veterans. First off is a man named Tom Dare, who is a Marine who is a Vietnam veteran. He's basically the father figure that I always wanted. He's an amazing man. Also, my friend Jerry Lesh, who is a former Army vet, who's a really great guy. And then lastly, to my good friend Teresa, who is a Air Force veteran. She served in like Britain and Europe and whatnot. And yeah, these are just some really awesome people. And I just wanted to say, all of you, thank you for your service.
Yeah, absolutely. This country would not be the place it is today without people like you. Because ultimately, unless you're willing to like take up the sword and shield to defend your country, I gotta say that I have a ton of respect for you guys.
Freedom is not free.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! So that's where I think it's a good place to leave it on that very respectful note and all that. So. For top 5, actually, no, we have a better thing we're doing right now. We are returning to memes.
Yes. So we're bringing back the meme of the week for this one. And Jared, show it off.
Tell me, do you bleed?
No, but your parents did.
That reminds me of this one meme I also saw. It's a kid that's crying and he's holding a pistol and he says, when you say you want to be Batman when you grow up, but know what must be done.
Yeah, we were looking for memes before we started recording, and I saw that. I was like, yes.
It's Snyderverse.
Yeah, I know the pathway to your heart.
Yeah, there you go.
Imagine like you just show up for a date, and the woman just walks in wearing a Zack Snyder's Justice League T-shirt.
I'll just get down on one knee at that point. So I'm done.
And then she says, "I knew it would have that effect on you. Like
I knew it would work."
Like she's so into you, like she figures out like you're a Snyder Cut person, so she specifically buys a Snyderverse T-shirt.
Oh, she meets me online. If she meets me online, she's 100% she'll know that because even on my Tinder profile, it says like all Zack Snyder's Justice League stuff.
Yeah, like she wears it to impress you. She says, "So I'm not actually a Snyder Cut fan, but I would love for you to show me the movies." Like, let's go home.
Challenge accepted.
All right, we're watching Man of Steel tonight.
Let's do this. Have you got a full day for me to show you all the movies? Now that's a date.
Not tonight, but on the second date, maybe.
There you go. Now that's a date right there. That's a date.
Snyder Cut and chill.
Can that be the next hashtag?
Oh,
that's got to be a hashtag of like people on dates watching the Zack Snyder movies and says Snyderverse and chill.
I need you to make me a promise. When you get a girlfriend and when you're showing her the Snyder Cut, please, when you're doing your Twitter post, please use that hashtag for the love of God.
I will. That'll be so good. Oh, gosh.
Snyder Cut and chill.
Watch, I start my own trending event where, like, all the other couples in the community start watching.
And you're just both wearing matching Snyder Cut t-shirts.
Yeah, that would be so good. No, I'll make custom ones that's saying, hey, she doesn't like the Whedon cut.
Relationship goals.
Yeah, that's relationship goals.
All right, so yeah, we're gonna put a cap on it here. And thank you to all the veterans, both past and present.
100%.
We thank you for your service, and we appreciate everything you do. Sorry, a little bit of gaff there. And as always, this is Nick from the Phoenix Press, and remember, I can only show you the door. You're the ones who walk through it.